On my own health journey and on my quest for better health, I experimented with many different types of diets, and I also crossed paths with some interesting people. And what I did find, there was a stumbling blocks for me, and I didn't realize it while I was in it. I can only give an opinion and share my experiences afterwards. The first one was different, especially alternative type of practitioners. There's some really very good ones, but then there's also a lot of them that sells a lot of products to you. So, and I'm talking about thousands of rands monthly. And the thing is, abundant health doesn't come from taking supplements, and especially also not, it costs a lot of money. And from what I have experienced, my best health didn't come from supplements and powders and all different types of products. So I would say that was something that I was caught up in for a very long time, was alternative type of practitioners and selling lots of products to you, and you're running from the one to the other, and it's costing you a lot of money. And eventually I did find, if you've been following my channel, is that changing my diet and my daily habits made a huge difference, and it's a lot more affordable, and the results was astounding. If you just stop eating junk, if I can give an example, if you would have to bring one of your old rubbish bin bags that's been outside your house for a week, and you had to open it and you had to bring it into your house and you had to dump it on your floor in the lounge, it would be really smelly, and no one would like that. And that's the same with your body. If you bring in junk food, that's what your cells think. So it's just a basic law of life. If you give an animal the wrong food, they're going to be sick, they're going to develop sickness. So if you eat junk, you are just going to be what you eat. I used to hear that a lot growing up, but I really couldn't make a connection with it, really what it meant. It was only when I started eating better food and living better that I could really understand, as I looked back to it, is that eating what the foods that the Lord gave us to eat, especially the foods that He gave us in the Garden of Eden, that was the original diet, and not processed by man. In other words, you go to the shop, you buy a butternut, you buy a sweet potato, you buy some legumes, you can even buy rice, or you can buy gluten-free grains, and you make your own food at home. That's how I experienced abundant health. I had challenges with heavy metals. I stayed in a house that had a lot of black mold problems, and I also picked up a parasite when we were traveling. We were doing a sabbatical in Africa, me and my husband. But everything changed for me when I changed my diet, when I started going to bed earlier and drinking my water, getting some sunlight, getting my exercise daily, not overworking yourself, resting. All these factors are very important when it comes to true health. As I say, if you're going to put junk into your body, that's what's going to happen. You're going to have a stinky, smelly body, and your cells are not going to be happy, and you're going to develop some kind of discomfort in your body, or even maybe a more serious disease. Your cells need real food, unprocessed, because the thing is, if we buy processed foods, our body doesn't recognize it. It's shocking the amount of ingredients that's in our foods. There's maybe less than 10 foods that I can buy that is processed, that doesn't contain some type of preservative or colorant or sugar or unhealthy fats. It's just not out there. The food is made to last longer and to also excite your taste buds that you would buy more of it, but it's not the original diet that God, that made us, designed for us. And putting all the diets to the test, I will put a link into that video that I made, really was a big eye opener for me. I'm a practical person, and if you tell me something, I will try it, and within limitations. But I did experiment with many different types of living and eating mainly, and it was really unbelievable for me that you could eat in a way that reduced pain in your body. So I followed, the last protocol that I followed was an anti-inflammatory protocol. It's also for autoimmune patients, but I did it not because I had autoimmune. It was more because I wanted to expand my knowledge, and I was already a certified health coach, so I wanted to just expand my knowledge and learn more and be able to assist people. And I've been following that way of eating now for, it's 2 months short of 5 years, and it's just incredible. Over the years I made many changes. The past 12 years I made many changes in my diet, and I cut out a lot of things. But when I went a bit more anti-inflammatory, adding garlic and turmeric and those types of things, and eating unprocessed, hardly ever going to restaurants. It's very, very, very special occasions that we will eat out. We would earlier years still, eat out, but definitely eating more of your own food. Or if you know someone that's doing the same lifestyle. But just prepping your food from scratch, not buying cut vegetables. You buy that butternut, you get yourself a proper peeler, you cut that thing up. It's really not hard. In the past I used to buy the cut pieces, but the problem is oxidation have already taken place. So by the time that you eat it, they've cut it up. You don't know how long it was exposed to oxygen. You don't know how much of the nutrition is still available. So you have to buy that thing, take it home, wash it, peel it, cut it, and make your food with it. It's so much more rewarding, and the difference in nutrition is huge. And then it was also just, I had a discussion with someone the weekend, and I said to them, how I see it is, and that's not how I initially saw it. It's only after many years of eating this way and thinking about it, also helping people and thinking of ways to explain to people, just to simplify it for people. I would ask them, someone asked me over the weekend, okay, but what about this coffee alternative? So I asked him, but was it available for Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden? No, it wasn't. The problem is the grain almost have to be burned. It's baked at a very high temperature, so AGEs develop, which is advanced glycation in products, and that triggers inflammation in your body. I was someone that had colds and flus every year, and I used to use a lot of antibiotics. Now I haven't had a cold or in flu, I don't want to say like in a decade, but I haven't had colds and flu. And for someone that was sick every year, it just shows you that it's the lifestyle changes that I made that is just boosting my body's own immunity, the immunity that God gave us, that's boosting it, and it made a huge difference. So I would definitely say true health is not in supplements, in powders. That also includes things like collagen powder. I also went through that phase. And it's true health is in eating in the food in the most simplest form, and your taste buds will adjust and you will be able to enjoy it. I mean, the taste of a banana is just amazing. The taste of a mango. I've cut out white sugar from my diet completely, but I don't mind. I've got health. I eat a lot of fruit every day, and I eat natural sugars like dates and carob, and you also get a bit of sugars from healthy grains. So yes, so definitely what I found is that visiting most of the natural doctors I visited was a waste of time and of money, and some of them, there was a specific one that actually got very angry. The prescription list of all the powders and stuff that I had to use was 5,000 Rand a month. Now that is 12 years ago. It was a lot of money. So I think I did it the first month, the second month, and then the third month I was now thinking, when my husband was putting pressure on me, listen, this can't go on forever. And I was asking him, but is there something natural that I can use for my liver instead of, say, a specific product? And he actually became very upset. So they gave me an appointment. I went home and I cancelled that appointment. But it was, for me, I was looking, I think it's also because we programmed from a young age. We were in and out with doctors, and I was so used to using medicine for everything, and that continued in my adulthood. And I think then if you then start to look at the other side, you still have this programming, and that's also what you see, because the health shops, most of them are not selling a lot of whole foods. They're selling supplements and products, and it's not to doom any health shop. We need them. But the thing is, we shouldn't just live from them. We should also be eating right. And if we don't eat right, it's still going to take a very long time. And I feel if I can just help people or inspire people to look at your diet, your thinking, all those things are very important, your stress level. But what a different diet did to me was just, it still baffles my mind that anxiety can disappear. Not that I was a very anxious person, but if I was in a very stressed situation, I would go into that anxious mood. And just the way that you handle stress is completely different just by the way that you're eating and the stuff that you're not consuming anymore. I'm not consuming stimulants. I don't drink coffee. I don't drink English tea. I don't use cacao. I use carob. So I'm not using any stimulants. I'm also not using any products that contains excitotoxins like MSG and glutamate. I also cut out of my diet, and my life has completely changed by that. So I see a lot of people caught up in this, and that's why I felt I had to make this video now. I've just been very busy. We're selling our house and we're renovating, and a lot of things is going on. So I haven't made a video the past 2-3 weeks. And I see people are also caught up in this cycle exactly where I was. And it's never just one reason why we get unwell or sick. It's a combination of factors. And it's also not just one miracle drop or something that's going to cure you. If I hear people saying, this is the only drop, this is the only doctor, then you should run away, because it's not just as simple as that. You have to do the hard work. You have to eat right. You have to start saying no. And I think that's a very difficult thing for a lot of people, is that you have to say no. You can't eat everything that people want to offer you, unfortunately. So you have to use some wisdom, and especially if you start eating very simple, you will be very sick when you eat foods with a lot of sugar, a lot of oils, even deep fried. You're definitely not going to feel comfortable after eating those foods. And I can truly say today I have a lot more energy, and my energy is consistent through the day. My skin has improved all over. I used to, when I turned 30, I saw these creases here in the front, and I was very worried what that was going to look like when I'm 30, 40, 50. And now I'm 55, I don't have creases here in the front. It's just the way that you eat. It repairs your cells. And if you're eating a lot of junk throughout the day, so you have several cups of coffee with sugar, with milk, your body is in a fight mode all the time. It's not going to have energy to renew your cells and to have a break and to do repair. So if you're going to keep it busy all the time, it's the same with eating constantly during the day and not having proper spacing between your meals. You're keeping your digestive system too busy, and it's not going to have energy for healing. So I can just, I'm just very passionate, and I like to share with people what I found, and I've done the practical side. A lot of people think eating plant-based, or a lot of people call it vegan. I don't want to say eat vegan because I'm not vegan. I think I use things like honey, and I also see myself eating a lot healthier than the average vegan because sugar is vegan, oils is vegan, there's a lot of junk food that's vegan, and I don't eat that stuff. So, but plant-based people really are shocked. They think you cannot be healthy on a plant-based diet, and it's quite interesting for me. Previously, in all my experimentation, I also ate plant-based, but it wasn't whole food, because the people that I learned from, they were using soya milk powders, and they were using nutritional yeast and those things. And I mean, those things are cut out of my diet now, and I think that made a huge difference. I'm just thinking, was it available for Adam and Eve? No, it wasn't. So I stick to the basic foods. If it's something that comes from a factory, I don't eat it, because if I can make it myself and I can buy it from someone and they're using the same process and ingredients, then I will still buy it. But if it comes from a normal food production factory, I won't eat it. And I really found a huge turnaround in my health. So yeah, I would definitely say the big distraction was running from health shop to health shop and getting different advice and buying. There's a lot of emphasis on buying products. So people, they ask me all the time, people say, yeah, but I must use this, or people say I must use that, I must use collagen. And you know, it's like we've got this mindset that we have to buy things, and health is a lot more simple than that. It's just cutting out all the junk. So I would say running from health shop to health shop, getting different advice, following different diets, running from practitioners to practitioners, and there were very good ones, and I learned a lot from some of them. And I also have to add that in the alternative medicine side, there's a lot of practitioners that's involved in spiritualism, so you have to be very careful. You know, who you open yourself up to. And I would just say, if you're a Christian, make sure you're working with a Christian practitioner, and because I also ended up with problems because of that. That's a video for another day. But the thing is, what I found, apart from spending a lot of money, I wasted a lot of time where my healing could have taken place a lot sooner. But the thing is, when we're looking for truth or for solutions, this is like a minefield. That's what I found, is that it was very exciting for me to learn a lot of things, but I also had to unlearn. It was my mindset had to change from this one problem and get a solution for that. And our body works as a whole. For instance, if I use an example, I lived in a house with a serious mold problem, and it was only years after, when I was already healthy, then I realized, no, but I lived in that moldy home. So it is interesting that when you follow 100% plant-based anti-inflammatory diet, it sorts out, if not all, most of the parasites. It solves mold toxicity, and I can't say 100% sure, because heavy metal levels is a complicated case, but for the past 5 years it hasn't bothered me. So although my levels was extremely high, I can have it tested again. I've previously had my hair sent to America twice, but instead of focusing on the problem like the heavy metals, the parasites, the mold, and driving yourself crazy with that, was to follow on the things that I had to do. And this machine is amazing. God made us amazingly. This machine, when you give it the right food and you don't give it junk and you don't put stuff in this machine that's going to tax it and overload it, this machine can do wonders. So I haven't had the experiences that I had in the past with pressure on my head. Those things are all gone. And I just have vibrant energy, and I think I can work, even at 55, I can work a 20, 30-year-old person under the table. And so definitely the one thing that was also for me, one of the practitioners that I ended up was with dentistry, and that was a long hold up for me in my health. For a long time I was very much sold out to that. Today I'm back at a normal, I would call it a normal dentist. That's a lot more conservative, because there was a lot of unnecessary work that was done on me, which was quite a painful exercise, and now I have to spend a lot of money to fix the problems that was done. And a maxillofacial surgeon that did cone beam scans before and after the work, he confirmed a lot of the information. So if it's so easy to get caught up, because a lot of the things that people tell you, it completely makes sense. And there's a lot of brainwashing going on. So we as Christians must just be very careful. It's also for anyone out there, but I'm talking especially to Christians. There's many examples in the Bible, and it's put there for a reason. And we've got the information. Our body is a temple. Just if you look at the word junk food, it already tells you it's junk. So how can we glorify our body if we put junk inside this body? We've got the responsibility. We have to look after this body. And one doesn't know exactly the extent to the amount of damage that you caused by the way that you were living, because I was completely irresponsible if I look back now. So, one can't brag with your health, but I can compare it with where I was. So one of the things that my husband often used to say when we were in the beginning phases, running around, spending a lot of money on products and powders and practitioners, he always said this, but how's poor people going to afford this? How can they afford this type of dentistry? Because alternative dentistry is a lot more expensive. And they also sold me supplements of thousands and thousands of rand per month. But now today, I couldn't understand it at that stage. So I would use the example, I would say to him, okay, no, but say for instance now I can buy a certain house now. So because there's a poorer person that can't buy this house, now I can't have this house or I can't have this car. I mean, it doesn't make sense. You buy the best that you can afford. But today I realize now, doing this whole loop, is that health it's within everybody's reach. You can do the best that you can. I use a lot of store-bought veggies and fruit. Yes, I've got some from my gardens. I try at least to get all the greens from my garden, and if there's fruit now and then, I eat it from there. But I still buy a lot of stuff from a normal grocery shop that's not organic, and I am experiencing good health. So it is within everybody's reach. Earlier years, yes, I was convinced that health was very expensive, because if you run around, you're spending all that money on all those products, that's extremely, extremely expensive. Where now it's a lot more affordable. This is the most simplistic way that I've lived. It's really very affordable, and I'm making the most amazing creations out of those food groups. Health is affordable. It's actually cheap. You can do it. And exercise, you can exercise for free. You can get sunlight for free. To eat out all the time, to buy takeaways, that's expensive. And if you don't pay now, you pay later. So I would say the expensive part was to get some of the appliances, and also looking back now, there were some appliances that I could have gone without. I would say a blender is one of the most important appliances. I hope that I've just planted a seed today, just to get your thinking, and just to share my own experience, how I wasted money, how I wasted time. And time is years in health that we could have gained. And we sometimes think that the solution must be this big thing. And sometimes the solution is very simplistic. God made it within reach of everybody. A lot of people, I think most people, quality of life can be greatly improved by the way that they're living and they're eating. The intention of this video is definitely not to say that you never should take a supplement. If there's a documented reason why you should use a supplement, it would be irresponsible not to use it. Say for instance your vitamin D levels is too low, then definitely for a period I would suggest using that. And it's just very important to have a documented reason why you should be taking a supplement. And then it's also very important is the quality of the supplement. A lot of supplements are these days imported, and there is no quality control over the supplements. So you definitely have to do your research and find the best one. And then also this intention of this video is definitely not to say that you should never go to alternative doctors. I'm just putting out a word of caution because of my own experience and what I've learned afterwards, and that it's just an area where you can waste a lot of money, and where it can be take a very long time to really get to the crux of the matter. So make sure you get a good reference. And as a Christian, I would say it would be important for me that the practitioner is also a Christian, especially when it comes to functional medicine and alternative medicine, that a lot of the testing methods that they use is rooted in occultism. Now, we as Christians should not get involved in that. So the thing is, when we find ourselves in a space of time where our health is not good, then with it comes not good judgment, because we can be recommended, or we can end up with practitioners, and we can, like in my situation, do not even realize that the practitioner is not going to act on your best behalf. So just a word of caution. I'm talking about my own experience. I'm not saying it's the experience for anybody, but I see a lot of people being caught up and making use of these practitioners, and the health, I can see the health is not improving. It's basically going backwards and not forward. Whatever they are advising you, your health should be improving. You get conventional medical trained doctors and practitioners that go into alternative medicine. I can use an example. I saw the first maxillofacial surgeon I was referred to have my cavitation fixed. He used a pendulum and he swayed it over an x-ray that was printed out on his side. I didn't see him before the time I was referred to him. He was apparently the only person in the country that could do that procedure, and everything was organized. He lived in a different province, so I didn't see him before the procedure. And just before the procedure, when he saw me and my husband, he took the pendulum and he had it over the printed x-ray, and it was moving up and down, and he said, "Can you see?" I asked, "Now, is there cavitations?" And the movement of the pendulum confirms that there is cavitations. So my response to him was, I don't believe in that. Then afterwards I learned about the dangers and involvement. So there's a lot of, as long as you know, there's a lot of, even not just alternative practitioners, but there's even medically trained practitioners that goes into this alternative side, and one needs to be very careful. So those are just examples that I want to show you and share with you where occultism comes into healing modalities, and one needs to be so careful. The way that I got out of this alternative dentistry situation that I was in is that I, as a health coach, I referred someone that I knew to the same practitioner, and she ended up with injuries, and she convinced me to go seek a second opinion. It was very difficult for me. I thought it was not necessary. Initially, I didn't even really comprehend what happened to her with this practitioner that I recommended her to. And when I eventually went for a second opinion, then the truth started coming out, and all the unnecessary treatments that they did, the unnecessary extraction of teeth, you know, and they brainwash you in that arena. They will put a fear in people, say for example with implants, but then they themselves do implants. So it's like they also contradict themselves. So one needs to be very careful. Don't get caught up that a dental treatment is going to be the solution for all my problems. It's not. You have to look at your diet and all the other aspects that I mentioned, and our trust in healing, if we are Christians, should come from God. It doesn't mean that we can't make use of doctors' wisdom. It's definitely there for us, but we should pray about it. At the end of the day, God is the ultimate healer, and we can't serve two gods. And if we do go to practitioners that's involved in spiritualism, we can't expect to be healed. That's the long and the short of it. Just stick to the basics. Healing doesn't have to be complicated. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did so, remember to hit the like button. If you want to stay tuned to the videos that I make, remember to subscribe. And remember, take care of your health. It's precious.